A leader is a tapered monofilament connection between my fly line and my fly. It's the business end of my line system. Now, leaders can really be one of the more frustrating and confusing parts of getting started in fly fishing. Let's try to take some of the mystery out of leaders. A leader is composed of two sections. The section attached to the fly line is called the butt section. Where it attaches to the line is fairly stiff, and it's tapered down to fairly thin monofilament. Let's remember that my arm is tapered, my rod's tapered, my fly line is tapered, and now we see that my leader is also tapered. The last diameter of monofilament used in my leader is what we call the tippet section, or the business end of my leader. A tippet can really be anywhere from 18 to 30 inches, maybe even longer, depending on my situation. When it comes to leaders, of course, there's a couple of different variables you need to be familiar with. When you look at a leader package, first of all, it's going to tell you a length. And secondly, it's going to give you an X rating. Let's take a look at these. The length of a leader is the easy part. To keep it simple, I recommend, for starters, you keep your leaders in and around the 9-foot ballpark. Now, when might I want to go shorter, or when might I want to go longer? First of all, if I'm having trouble casting, I may go to a shorter leader. That can help correct some casting problems. Or, if I'm fishing heavier, more wind-resistant, obviously weighted flies, I may also go to a shorter leader. If I'm fishing very spooky fish, very wary, and I want to keep the fly line further away from the fish, I may go to a longer leader, such as a 12-foot, maybe even a 15-foot. Or if I'm fishing very tricky currents, I've got a bunch of different current speeds between me and the target, it will be helpful, and the fly will act more natural if I've got a longer leader. Now, here's the hard part. Bear with me on this one. On each leader package, you will see an X designation. This particular one says 2X. The X number equals the diameter of the tippet. For example, 0X equals 0.011 diameter. 1X equals 0.010 diameter, all the way up to 6X or even 8X, which is 0.003 diameter. So therefore, the larger the X number, the finer the diameter of the tippet. How does that relate to me as a fly fisherman? Now, you don't necessarily even need to memorize what X equals what diameter. It's just important to understand what the diameter means to me as a fly fisherman. Now, let's remember again, my entire fly fishing system is tapered. My arm is tapered, my rod's tapered, my line is tapered, my leader is tapered. That allows the smooth transfer of energy all the way out to the fly. So, I must have the proper diameter of tippet, or the proper X of tippet, to allow the proper amount of energy to reach all the way out to my fly and therefore turn it over. Let me give you a couple of simple guidelines to help you determine what size of tippet to use. The first one is pretty simple. Take the size of the fly, and I mean the hook size of the fly, and divide that number by the number 3 or 4. That will give you a rough idea on what tippet to use. So, if I've got a size 12 hook, divide that by 3 or 4, that tells me I'm going to be in the ballpark of a 3X or a 4X tippet. Now here's a rough idea of what size tippets might match up with what types of flies. A 0X or a 1X tippet is going to be best suited for large bass bugs, maybe pike flies, and some saltwater fishing. A 2X and a 3X are going to be used for streamer fishing, for fishing large minnow imitations, or for large nymphs, and some bass fishing and pan fishing. 3X and 4X might be used for large nymphs or general nymphing in the case of 4X. I may also use 4X on some fairly large and stout dry flies. Now 4X and 5X are going to be used for general nymph fishing. 5X tippet for all-around dry fly. 6X tippet, again for all-around dry fly, obviously getting smaller. And 7X and 8X would be for the finest and tiniest of flies. Now, I've got myself a 9-foot leader, and I've chosen the proper tippet size as per the size of fly I'm going to be fishing. It's important to note, when you buy a leader off the wall, it comes with the tippet already attached. So I'm ready to head out and fish. But over the course of the day, let's say I get one fly caught in a tree, get another fly caught in my buddy's hat, I lose a couple on the rocks. My leader may now be down to, say, 7 foot in length. I've just cut it back each time I tied on a new fly. Well, what I've done is cut that tippet back to the point where there may not be any of the tippet material left, and I've messed up the taper of that leader. I can either remove the remaining butt section, discard it, and start fresh with a brand new package leader, or I can carry with me spools of individual diameters of tippet that I can use to replace the tippet and or rebuild the butt section if I need to. Now let's say we've chosen a 9-foot 5X leader to fish with today as per the size of fly I'm going to be fishing with. It's important to know that most packaged leaders come with approximately a 2-foot tippet section already on them. So over the course of the day, from getting flies caught in trees or tying on new flies, I've cut that leader back about 2 foot to the point where it's now 7 foot. I know that I've cut the tippet off. I simply need to take my spool of 5X monofilament, tie a new piece on, and I replenish the leader. I add a new tippet. But let's say I cut that leader back further than 2 foot, maybe 3 foot. I've now cut the leader back to where the ending diameter is now 2X. I can't simply tie on a piece of 5X to 2X. As a general rule, you don't want to skip more than 1 diameter when attaching monofilament to monofilament. So what I would need to do would be to tie on a short piece of 3X and then tie on my 5X tippet. Experience will help you determine what diameters you're dealing with, or at least give a good guesstimate. But an easier way of doing that is carrying a little tool, essentially a micrometer, with you that I can slide the monofilament down into, and it tells me what diameter I'm at. That can really help in the rebuilding of leaders and tippets. Now, here's a little rule which should help you select the right leader for the situation. The smaller and lighter and less wind resistant the fly, the longer and finer or thinner, which we remember would be a higher X number, the leader and tippet may be. Conversely, the larger the fly, the heavier and more wind resistant, the shorter and stiffer or thicker, which would be a lower X number, the leader must be. Well, I hope this is all starting to make sense to you, but I know, especially when it comes to the line system, there's a lot of information here, and it can certainly get frustrating and overwhelming. But please don't let it. If you don't have a good grasp of it yet, take the time, rewind this tape, and go over it again and again if necessary to get to the point where it becomes second nature. You don't want to be out there on the water worried about your fly line or what size tippet to match to what size fly. Once you learn these things, you'll never have to learn them again. And once you get it under your belt, you'll really be surprised at how simple and easy it is. Most of all, get out there, go fishing, and have fun.
If you like this video, hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. And check out these videos. We think you might like them too.